Hey y'all, so I'm gonna show y'all finally how to make this salsa verde that y'all been asking about. I'm about to roast everything. I've got about, I think this is like 12 tomatillos, an onion. These are Anaheim peppers, but if hatch peppers are in season, then I get the hatch peppers, but Anaheim will be fine. I do a poblano pepper, and then you can do one, that's a pretty big jalapeno, but you can do one or two. It just kind of depends on how spicy you want it. So I got that ready. I'm gonna peel these tomatillos and wash all the sticky stuff off of them, and then I'll be back. All right, so now I've washed everything and rinsed and dried everything. You can see I've taken off the leaves and all the sticky stuff and dirt that's on these tomatillos. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put, I use avocado oil, but you could use olive oil, but avocado oil has a higher smoking point, so you probably wanna try to use something like that. And I'm just gonna drizzle it, over my veggies, like so. Not too much, because you don't want it smoking up the house. And then I just salt, pepper, and then just make sure everything gets coated with the oil and the salt and the pepper. Try to keep the onion whole as best you can. Well, and then once I said that, it dropped. That's all right. Put it back together. I have to get a little all over the pan there. No, that's good. Go wash my hands. Okay, now I have my broiler on at the very highest you can get, and then you just want to make sure that your rack is on the top. The highest or the very top rack is on the top, because that's where your veggies are gonna go. You just, I have a newer oven, so it broils things way faster. This only took about 3 minutes on the very top rack. I'm actually gonna lower it to the next bottom because it was smoking. So you're gonna have to watch your own oven and just kind of keep it, but this is what you're looking for. The tomatillos might take a little bit longer, but this is what we're going for. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my tongs, wherever they may be. And I'm just gonna flip these over. This. All right, now to do the other side. All right, so this is what it should look like once you get it out. It should be nice and charred. What I'm gonna do is I have a reusable bag, but you can use a Ziploc bag or whatever. The peppers I'm gonna toss in here to steam, and that'll make them easier to peel here in a little bit. I might throw that one back in just to get it a little bit more char, but the jalapeno really doesn't matter. We'll just throw it in. But you can char it, as much as you want. It just makes it a little bit easier to peel. So we'll let those steam for a minute. And then the rest of this stuff is gonna go into my Ninja. Okay, so I'm gonna take all of this, and there's my Ninja. I'm gonna throw it all in there, including any of the juices. You're gonna wanna put everything in there. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes, so I'm gonna take these out of the bag. And if you notice I have gloves on, do not do this without gloves. I did that once and it was a huge mistake. You'll burn your hands up. So take them all out of the bag so you can see it's already kind of peeling off there, the skin. We got it All right, all I'm gonna do is just kind of start peeling them. And just get as much off as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Ooh, they're still hot. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and then the next step is to take the stems off. So I'm gonna kind of cut it open a little bit. And what you're trying to do is you're gonna get rid of these seeds. So I just kind of pull it off and kind of scrape with my fingers and just get as much seeds off as I can. You're probably not gonna get them all off. It's fine if some of them go into the blender, but just try to get as much as you can. And then I'm gonna take this whole piece and throw it in my blender over here. And then the jalapeno, depending on how hot you want it, you can throw it in like this, or you can de-seed it. It just kind of depends on how hot you want it. I take the stem out because that's the hot part and most of the seeds, but I'll leave a few little ribs of the stem in to give it a little bit of heat. Okay, now I have everything in the blender. I've got the peppers, I've got the tomatoes, onion, and I'm gonna put just like a handful of cilantro. Again, this is, just kind of up to you, handful. I use this Durat frozen garlic. I use like 2 or 3 little cloves of it. Again, as much or as little, but I'm gonna do 2 for this one. Just pop those in there. And then I use the chicken bouillon, and I just measure with my hand. You don't want to use too much, just be careful because it is salt. So, however much that is, dump it in there. You can always add more once you start tasting it. And then lime, of course. And just squeeze as much or as little, some of it, just depending on how dry they are. So I'll squeeze all the lime. And I'll use like 2. These aren't very juicy, so it might be 3. But I usually just start with 2 and then I, taste from there. Oop, there we go. And then we're going to put the top on and blend. If there's a blend, there we go. All right. Come on. Now just go in with my chip. Careful not to cut your finger on the blade. A little bit more. Not that big old clump. And then if you need to, you can add water. If it's too thick, or if you like thick salsa, you're fine, but you can always thin it out with a little water. But really, that's it. And there you go. There's the final product. Let's do a final taste test. Well, it's the beginning of a taste test, but you know what I mean. Yep. That's the one.